All right. Welcome to another episode of No Frills.
Just catch up since the last one. Christmas,
right,
I think.
We had Christmas, didn't we, in between? Which was it's always a family affair, isn't it? That you can't really escape. You can't really do Christmas on your own, can you?
No, it's not fun on your own.
I'm a bit of a hermit, so I lament having to go to people's houses and whatever. And I had to go to 3 separate families this year.
Well,
I had to go to my own on Boxing Day to my own family. Christmas Day I was with Char's mum and stepdad. And then the day after Boxing Day we went down to London to Char's dad and stepmum. So he was travelling all over the place and it was a bit mental. It was like 3 different Christmases all in one. It was a bit...
Well, for me, Christmas, it's usually... it's usually like trying to get 4 in. We'll usually go to the in-laws, like the wife's mum and dad's. Then we'll go and see my mum, go and see my dad, because they live separately. And then we'll go and see my grandparents, and then pick an house to sort of settle down in for the night, and it's just absolute carnage. But this year, though, I managed to dodge it because I was working.
That's the problem, isn't it, with nights and that, and the way it falls.
Yeah, I was on my first shift in and my 7 on was Christmas Eve night. So I literally come home, had a bit of breakfast, opened a couple of presents and then went bed.
Until New Year's.
Woke up, had Christmas dinner and then went back to work. Which sounds horrible, but to be fair, it was the most chilled Christmas I've ever had.
That's all right.
And then when it had all died down and everyone else was sort of going back to work, I had a week off then, just with no one mothering us, and had my own little Christmas on my Todd. It was ace.
That's all right. Because people always get bent out of shape. She always bent out of shape because she works in hospitality, so it's like anything like that. There's no chance of having time off. Yeah. It's always going to be work. But if it was me, I would be the one that was volunteering to work. I'd be like, I don't mind working the periods where other people don't wanna, because that means I get a little bit on my own. Like it just seems like you could have a nice little week away, like you did, just on your own.
Well, that's what we did. We as soon as I finished work on Christmas, I had New Year's Eve off, so I went and did some family stuff for New Year's Eve, and then me and the wife went away for a week. We just bought this like cabin in the middle of the woods, and just had like literally a week on our own. It was ace.
That's the life, innit?
Proper chilled out. Christmas dinner there on our own. It was good.
I see. We just did in betweens because I was just a free agent, man. I was here and there, and Shaw was in and out of work and doing this and that. But then I ended up having 3 Christmas dinners.
You see that? You can't beat that. I only
3
had 1.
Christmas dinners. Everyone cooked one because it was like all the separate days that we went to the separate places. Everyone was like, "This is going to be the Christmas then." So we're going to have a separate Christmas dinner and a separate Christmas dinner and a separate Christmas dinner. All the same. It was all the same. It wasn't quite rate my plate.
Oh God, that's the best.
Have you seen Rate My Plate?
Yeah, it's so good.
That blew up. I saw a thing of it at work when it was like, I think it had 500,000 likes. And I'll show my mate at work. It was the first Carol incident.
Yeah, I've seen Carol's.
Carol's eggs and chips and beans or whatever it was. And that, me and my mate were laughing at work about it. Just the pure roast comedy. And then it kind of, the next day I had a look, it had 700,000. I was like, geez, that Carol's blowing this place up. And then the next day we had a look when I was showing the old boy at work, and it got over 1 million. And there was a group, and the group was like people loading stuff in ready to go to the page, and it was proper funny. The original, like that first Carol one was proper funny because it was like, for people who don't know what we're on about, there's a page on Facebook called Rate My Plate. And people put pictures of food up. And because this one woman called Carol who put this terrible looking picture of eggs, chips and beans, everyone puts intentionally bad food or burnt food or undercooked food and gets other people to rate it. So this woman had put this picture of this meal up, and people have put comments like, it looks like Carol made a perfectly fucking good dinner and punched it for no reason and stuff like that. Like, Jesus Christ, Carol, what did you make it with? A tumble dryer? Really funny. The next day I saw one, like the next one I saw was a guy who was eating, I can't remember what he was eating, but he was holding whatever it was in his hand, his finger and his thumb, and his thumbnail was dead long and dirty underneath. And the top comment that I saw said, "Did you win anything on the scratch card?" And that just, I lost it at work in the break room, and they were just like, "What are you watching?" I was like, "You have to read this page." And that was kind of what was like a week and a bit ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, that it was kind of became big.
Yeah, it's blowing up now.
But do you know what? Since everyone I know when you see on Facebook now, they changed the algorithm and stuff again now. So when you click on a link, and you can see what your friends have commented top, can't you?
Yeah,
it's not chronological anymore, so they've kind of changed it. But all I've realised by this kind of roast comedy, because it's a little bit low hanging fruit, my friends just aren't funny. Like what my friends think are funny, and they're commenting thinking they're funny because it's like roast comedy. They think you can get away with something that isn't funny. They're just not funny. There's a picture of some chips and beans and
that's Carol again. That Carol take
Carol
two.
Strikes again.
Top comment: Carol's back. Woohoo!
Carol's back.
We'll put a link to this on the page. Definitely.
But that kind of took over at work. So at work this week we've had McDojo, them fake self-defense videos where people are really bad at self-defense, and we've had Rate My Plate, and that Rate My Plate is kind of it's peaked and gone out, I think, now, because it's got so many people. But yeah, I just look. Oh, what is that?
That's a roast dinner.
That's not a roast dinner. What's it soaking in?
That is a roast dinner.
What's it soaking in?
Meat gravy.
Meat gravy.
Roast chicken dinner with potatoes and meat gravy by Danny B.
Meat grease. I like that they put their name to it. Like, some people are dead proud, aren't they, about it?
That's horrific.
See, the idea is quite good, that it's just you put a picture of your food up and they'll roast, like, you can roast it. But I think roasting's like easy. Roasting's easy comedy. Like, people can't think of something funny.
Just take the piss out of someone else.
But some of them pictures are horrific, aren't they? You just think some people have got some
proper rough food.
I just think, oh man. But that was because I thought of that just before I started liking it. I was thinking about that when I was thinking about the Christmas dinners. People were putting pictures of their Christmas dinners up and that. And because it's just been Valentine's Day. People have just been doing it for Valentine's Day, taking like, oh, my husband made me this or whatever. People's dinners are fucking horrible.
Yeah, I know.
I can't be the only one that's noticed that people eat some fucking gruel in the name of love, I tell you. We had the decency to go out, but we did ours because it was Valentine's on the Thursday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's Valentine's Day, like, Char's going to be working. It's hospitality, you're going to be working it. You can't, if you work in a pub or a restaurant, you work in Valentine's. So we decided to do ours on the Tuesday, which is like, it's going to be dying dead, isn't it? And no one's going to be around the Tuesday, like 2 days before Valentine's Day. Nobody's going to be going for a meal. So we went to her favourite, which is Wagamama's. We're always at Wagamama's. We're always in there. And it was dead. But then I was getting lambasted because I can't keep my mouth shut when I'm like teasing people. We went there and the waitress was like, young waitress, but super enthusiastic. Like, not Tuesday before Valentine's enthusiastic. And as soon as she finished, Char looked at, like, she started talking. I was looking at Char, she was looking at me. And as soon as she went, I was like, I bet she's studying performing arts. She's like, what are you on about? I was like, performing arts or air hostess. One of the two.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like, how's it going, guys? You all right? Like, really polite. What can I get for you? It was like, hi, guys. Like CBBS in your face.
Yeah, you don't need it. You don't need it. You're going out for a quiet meal. You don't need somebody who's 100 mile an hour. Like, we went out, to be fair, this Valentine's Day, Sam was working, so I just like cooked tea and just like had something at home. But last year we went out and we just went pizza up because I'm not going somewhere dead posh. I'm not spending a fortune just because it's Valentine's Day. Like, we'll go pizza up. We're not, we know who we are. Like, we're happy with that. We're not kidding ourselves. That's a posh meal for us. We went out pizza up and like, you could tell all the staff were making about proper effort. It was in pizza hut in Salford, and I just remember the guy brought over and he put this pizza down and he had like the thickest Salford accent ever, but you could tell they'd been told, like, you need to really egg it up Valentine's Day. This is, a posh Italian restaurant. And I just remember he put this plate down and then just like in the thickest Salford accent ever, he just like went, bon appetit, and then just walked off. Like, what's
bon
that?
Appetit, no.
You're not kidding yourself. Like, we know where we are. we've paid £4 each for all you can eat. We're not in like some proper swanky 5-star affair. But yeah, that made me laugh.
Oh, you can eat pizza.
I don't think I've actually been eating out properly since then either.
Yeah,
I just can't be asked for the fuss. I'd much rather go out for drinks than just get a kebab on the way home.
See, we're not exactly. Char's a social creature. I'm not a social creature, man. I'd rather just be in. But she's kind of getting me out to go and do places. So once a week we'll try it. It'll probably be a Wetherspoons or something like that after training. So we're out.
That's all right.
And we're not in the apartment eating the same thing I eat, which is chicken and rice every night. But it's just funny that we was out there and this girl was floating this positivity out of her face. You could see it when she was in her walk. You could see everything. It was just like, it was her best day to be serving us ramen. Like, it was her favourite thing
I can't be arsed with that.
Oh mate, she was well into it, and as soon as she was like, "Hi," like, and she's like right up there, and I was just looking, and Charlotte looks at me like, "Do not say anything, because if there's an opposite to that, it's me." So she was just like, "Do not say anything." I was like, "Performing arts. That's performing arts. That's performing arts."
Yeah,
it is. You get them everywhere. I don't know. And then I had acid flashbacks when I was telling my mate at work about this. I was saying about this waitress. I was saying that we used to play tricks on each other. It just came back to me like an acid flashback from like Vietnam. When we used to go out to all you can eat Chinese's, like the buffet and that. So it's just you get up and you do whatever you want, don't you? So you go with a bunch of lads, you have a few beers, you go to the bar and you get around in, and you're not like sitting at a regular restaurant where you're all at the table.
Yeah.
So you'd all be scarpered. Someone would be at the dessert buffet first. Someone would be getting some pancakes. You're at the bar getting around in. And if you weren't careful, what you would do is you'd tell one of the waitresses or the bar staff that it was someone at the table's birthday.
Yeah.
And to bring them in that restaurant, it was a swan made of ice with ice cream in it and sparklers. Like it was proper swanky. But it was only a tenner, but it was a couple of quid each, but you could proper like roast your mate. And then they'd stop the music, they'd play the happy birthday song. And the happy birthday song isn't the normal happy birthday song, and it's sung with an Asian inflection to it, even though you're in Wolverhampton or something like that. And I was telling him about this and about these, like that we used to do this all the time. And then I had this mad flashback to being a kid of this Bruce Bogtrotter moment when I was younger. Did you ever go to Fatty Arbuckle's?
Yeah, I
remember Fatty
Arbuckle's.
So it's like an American restaurant, and they just did over the top portions of everything.
Yeah.
When it was massive before, like whatever, it was just massive plates of everything. And I was in like primary school, so I was like maybe 11, some kind of birthday out with the family. That, where do you want to go? I want to go to Fatty Arbuckle's because they do steak and mixed grills and whatever else. So I finally hulked my way through this birthday meal of whatever this gargantuan meal was. And just as I finished, the lights come on, like spotlights on me, music playing, and they'd obviously told him it was my birthday. This guy comes over with a microphone, shoves it in my face, makes me stand on a chair in front of the entire restaurant and talk to everyone, and then brings me another portion of chips and an ice cream sundae with a sparkler in it. And everybody watched as I ate it. And I was just like that just traumatized me forever. I was just on this chair. I just talked to everyone with this microphone. Never had a microphone in my hand before. Everyone's like, "Hi, yes, it's my birthday. Thank you very much." Or whatever I said. And I was just shell shocked. And then they were like, "And we've got you a portion of chips, and you can have this sundae and this and that." And I'm already bursting from this meal. And then because everyone was aware that I'd been sent this thing with the sparkler and the extra portions, everyone was kind of looking over it, even after the spectacle had ended, to see if I'd eaten it all. So I was sitting there trying to shove this extra chips, bit like scoop of sundae, couple of chips, scoop of sundae, looking over, all eyes on me, still got to keep going. And it just like, I was at work, like as a 30-year-old man, just quiet, looking spaced out with a 1,000-yard stare, thinking, I can't, I don't know if I can do it, I can eat out again. And this all happened because this girl at Wagamama's was super nice. I was just like, what the hell is happening? I don't think anyone else had an experience like that before. I haven't.
No. No, I know the exact sort of thing you mean though.
I hate it when they do that in restaurants. I hate it. And I didn't realise that it happened to me. My brain had blocked it out until I was talking to him about this girl. And then that went on to we tell our friends that it was their birthday. They tell these people it was my friend's birthday, and they bring this out. And then I thought, oh, that happened to me when I was a kid. And it all came flooding back. And it was like an epiphany. It was like I was in therapy or something like that. And my mate Lee was just stood there at work. He used to be like, "What's wrong with you?" And in my head, it was like classical music and explosions going off. Everything was black and white. Everyone was looking at me and the light was on, watching me eat the chocolate cake like Bruce Bogtrotter from Matilda. It's horrible. It's horrible. How mean is that?
It's rough, isn't it? Like, it's stuff you put your kids through for a laugh. It's rough.
It's one of them because I've never been one for that. I've never been one to be like in the centre of attention. Just a quiet kid.
See, I don't agree with that.
You don't think so?
You say that like, oh, I don't want to be the centre of attention, but you've chose to be in bands. You've chose to have a podcast where people are forced to listen to you talk for half an hour. So there's got to be something in it. Maybe it's all come from that moment. The spotlight, the first time you had a mic in your hand, it's triggered something in your brain.
I have this every time I go to my parents' house because my mum's like a therapist and we're always trying to analyse each other. And she's always like, "Well, you were a teacher. That means like it was people's. You had to exclusively talk in front of people while other people were quiet.
Yeah.
And get the information to go in. And I was like, yeah. And then you're in bands. Yeah, I also in bands. And then now you compete in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so you're the only one, and everyone watches it. I was like, agreed.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
I think I just torture myself with it because I know I hate it. Like especially when it's jiu-jitsu, like, it's just I hate it. Like the week before, the anxiety is terrible.
Yeah,
and I do it all the time. So I've got a week of just no sleep before I go in to do this ridiculously hard thing, and it all comes from that. And I always get psychoanalyzed about it. It's got to be stuff you do. You get nervous where you're just like, oh, what have I got to do? Gigging, it takes the edge off. Because how many gigs have you done now?
Yeah, but I've been gigging for, like, I've been in like gigging bands for like the past like 12, 13 years of my life. Like it's something like at first I used to get really nervous, but I don't anymore. I think they get more nervous like smaller gigs, like if you're doing like a pub gig, because then you're thinking like people just come in for a quiet drink, and then we're going to be here like screaming in the faces, rolling around on the floor, and yeah, I think that's a bit more nervous. But like big ones where there's like loads of people in.
Yeah, especially if it's a good headliner and it's actual stage.
Yeah, like that gig we did before Christmas, we played with King Kurt, and that was like sold out. It was absolutely hammered. Like, and everyone showed up early for all the bands and that. It was like a massive crowd. That was absolutely fine. But then the gig we did before that was at my mate's pub in Hanley, and there's probably about 20 people in. And then you're thinking like, there's 20 people and you can see the expression on everybody's face. Yeah. Like, unless they're really, really into it, this is going to be a train wreck. But it's all right though. I don't think... It's not something, I think with bands as well, it's not something you're doing on your own. Like when I've done like open mic nights where it's just like you and an acoustic guitar and you sort of playing and singing, I think that's absolutely horrendous.
Horrific. But
like when you're going up with a band and you've got like a couple of your mates with you, it's a bit different.
So you can always hide behind it. I was all right in wires because I was the drummer, so I just sat down at the back.
Yeah, see, it's a bit easier for that. See, I'm frontman, like I'm literally the only guitarist in the band, and well, like the singer as well, so it's a bit more on top, but...
Do you give the same energy at 20 people as you do 200 people though, or do you tone it down a bit?
No, I think you have to. There's nothing worse than a crowd not into it and a band who's clearly not into it. I think if you go out there and you give it like,
it's got to be.
You give it 110%, like you've got a chance of turning someone round. Like if you go out there, like give it your best. If you sell one T-shirt or sell one CD, it's been worth going.
That's it. Someone will be like, remember that band that came in here was proper fucking nuts.
Yeah,
that's like, yeah, that's what you want, isn't it?
Doesn't always happen that way though.
No, something.
I remember we did a gig last year. And it was to be fair, it was quite packed. There was a few people in, and like there's people like dancing and like getting into it and that.
Yeah.
And then we went down dead well, and then we finished, and then it was at the Exchange. You've played at the Exchange, and you know that the only way on the stage is basically climbing up the stage. There's no like side entrance or anything.
There's no side door. There's no anything.
And we was getting all that stuff off and just chucking it in the cars, just get it out of the way. Basically, mate lives around the corner, so we just chuck everything in the cars, drive it down to us, and we walk back and watch the rest of the bands. And I was getting all my gear off the stage, and there's loads of people come up talking to us. There's loads and loads of people like all there.
You have to get through to the back of the room.
Well, you do
out to the side door.
But we're not even at that point yet. I'm still on stage at this point. I had my guitar around me like over my shoulder on its strap. I had a beer in one hand that somebody bought us and give us, and then he had like a cymbal stand with a cymbal on it on the other. And as I was getting off, the cable from the monitor like got my foot got trapped under it, and I just went face first onto the floor, like proper, like knocked myself out, like proper, like bit the floor because I didn't want to drop because it wasn't. If it was my gear, I'd have just chucked it and gone. But it was the drummer's gear. It was his cymbals, and like a beer that somebody just give us. I couldn't like launch that. Point. Oh god, it was the most embarrassing thing ever. Like everyone in there, like just heard because it was a cymbal as well. It made them like the biggest noise ever. Even people who weren't there talking to us all turned around, and I'm just like picking my teeth up. It was horrible. But then since the first gig after that, I was dead nervous because I was thinking like if I realised it can happen now. I'm mortal. Like something could actually go wrong.
You don't want to do it again.
But it was all right. It was good.
The mortifying moments like that.
Someone was filming it as well, but it's not surfaced on Facebook or anything yet.
See, that's all right. When you can hide from that, because I remember we used to do some stupid shit when we did our first gigs, but I don't think camera phones were around then, so it wasn't really an issue. And if you did, you couldn't see it anyway. The quality was so low.
Yeah,
you never get to see it, so it wasn't so bad. But now it's just anything you do that's correct. Like
when I was in an old band as well, I was in a metal band called Cranius a few years ago. Well, quite a few years ago now, and we did a gig in the Ritz in Manchester, which is probably like the biggest. Unless you're opening for like a big touring band, it's probably the biggest venue you can do. We were headlining it. We just brought like a just brought a record out, an EP at the time, and it was a massive gig for us. Again, there's loads of people, and we had a bit of a following that band. It's probably the most successful band I've been in. And there's loads of people in, and I'd just got like a wireless guitar pack.
Nice.
And so I thought, I was like all over the place. Obviously, it was like heavy music, like proper into it,
running about.
And I just thought, I'm jumping off the stage, and I jumped off the stage. No one caught us, and I hit the deck, but I landed on my feet, which weren't like at the time wasn't too bad. But it was like a 9-foot high stage. It was proper high. So like sprained both my ankles. But I carried on playing through it. Then I realised I couldn't get back up on the stage. So I just had to like stay on the floor, like power through these couple of songs. Like the sound guy ran on and like put a mic stand on the floor for us so I could carry on singing. And then I had to we used to like link a lot of songs together. So like we got through these the next 3 songs, and I had to like literally go like behind the bar and go for all through backstage. And everyone was waiting for like 3 minutes for me to get back on stage. And then it just probably looked like I was like proper nervous after that because I was just stood still, but I'd done both my ankles in.
That's a bit Spinal Tap, isn't it?
But, oh god, it was bad. And there's a video of that as well. There's a video of me jumping off and like literally landing 2 feet on the floor and not moving for like 15 minutes while we got through these songs. Then like have a pathetic attempt at trying to climb back up on the stage and then just disappearing for 20 minutes and coming back on.
It's like slapstick
It's
with
bad.
Spinal Tap.
Really bad.
Oh man, like watching people fall over and do that shit, it drives me crazy. It's so
I
funny.
love
Like, it's never not funny.
There's some great compilations of bands like band fails on YouTube.
Swinging their guitars,
yeah, and the strap comes off and they go flying. There's nothing more satisfying.
That emo kind of metal movie where they swing the guitar around and the guitar's just like, I'll see you later. And it's off and it's always like some music video and people standing on the amps and
stood on top of like an half stack and it falls over. Nothing better.
I remember seeing one of do you remember Kelsey Grammer who played Frasier?
Yeah.
And he's doing like a talk and he's on stage like walking about with this microphone doing whatever speech he's doing, and like cut into the stage at the front is the steps. So you imagine there's like a small part of the stage with the steps cut into it, and as he's walking he doesn't realise he's walking from stage full height to where the steps are and just like falls down like it's like boom. And then you see him being like, oh my and then like, everyone's like which is about it's Kelsey Grammer and he's fallen over. It's hilarious. Love videos like that. It's just so daft, man.
Yeah, there's nothing funny.
It's just so stupid. It's just Kelsey Grammer tripping on stage, like just falling onto these stairs. But it is hilarious. Stuff like that.
I torture myself with them. Like, I watch them all the time, and then I do end up thinking like, I've had like near misses with stuff like that before it could happen. It's like watching a plane crash video before you go on holiday. Like, just proper psych yourself out before gigs, but it's good though, and it keeps you on your toes.
Oh my. I have to go on the Facebook as a link. I don't know. I think that was in the days of like E-Bounds World. And I don't think YouTube was even existing then when I used to see that.
E-Bounds World, do you remember that?
Rebounds.
Break.
I sent a clip of E-Bounds World to. In fact, it wasn't even E-Bounds World. Someone had put the E-Bounds video on YouTube. That's how layered it was to a friend of mine, this guy, and it's this lad just getting into a fridge to scare his dad. And it's obviously like this lad and dad live together because the house is really messy. So what he's done is like he's put this camera up like on top of the cabinets in the kitchen, so you can see down like into the kitchen. But it's really grainy quality.
Yeah.
And he's wearing like the dad's. It's either they're still living in the 80s in the modern day, or what I suspect is it's been filmed in the 80s with a proper tape camcorder.
Yeah.
And so he just gets in the fridge, and then the dad comes back from shopping, opens the fridge, and the guy jumps out and he's like, bah! And he's like, scares him. But the scare isn't that funny until they start laughing at it. When they start laughing at it, their laughs just set me off a treat, man. Honestly, they just find it so funny, and it's just so innocent that you just don't want to take it away. He's like, they're just laughing at each other. The scare wasn't even that good, but they're just laughing so far out. And then he goes and gets the camera down. You can hear it's like a proper big like camcorder. He's like filming in his face, just laughing. It's just like innocent videos, isn't it? Like back in the day, it's like so innocent videos.
Yeah, the internet's a different place now.
E-Bounds does it even exist anymore?
I don't know.
If E-Bounds will exist, let's just Google it and see.
Have you ever watched the driving in Russia videos?
Is that
dash cam footage from Russia? Yeah. Oh, incredible!
Do you know why that is? That's because like traffic crime and like fake insurance claims in Russia are so prevalent.
Yeah.
That everybody has to have a dash cam, so they can prove that they definitely didn't do it. and eBAM's world still exists. It's actually a blog that exists. They're still going.
Blog now. That's adapting that, isn't it?
That is. How did that change? Wow. Yeah, the Russian videos are crazy. It's like people just fake crashes and fake insurance claims so much that you have to have a dash cam.
Yeah, but there's some like one where this bloke's like driving down a motorway in his car and he's got his dash cam on with his family. I mean, a bloke just overtakes him riding a horse like, on the motorway, like, proper smokes him. And you see like people who'll just be driving around like in like a little town and like a bear will just come out and like try and have the car off. It's like wild.
I like the ones where it's like CCTV of like one junction and they know it's a bad junction.
Yeah.
It's just the same camera picking up crash after crash. And you're like, how many people can do the wrong shit?
It's just a joke, isn't it?
It just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. It's like, how many crashes? And just off it goes. There's one in Stoke. There's a bridge in Stoke. I don't know where it is in Stoke, but there's a low bridge. And everyone gets it wrong.
Oh, it's near Kidsgrove.
Yeah.
That's where I live.
Everyone gets it wrong. Lorries all the time.
Yeah.
Just get stuck
It's
underneath this bridge.
literally like once a fortnight there'll be a truck stuck under that bridge. Like, it's just ridiculous. And there's signs for like miles leading up to it.
It says on it because they know, everyone knows about it. So they put all the signs up.
Like, you know, like, if you're driving a truck, you know how big your truck is, surely. Like, I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. But people will see like 4 signs on the way up to it. I'm like, nah, I can't have that. And they just get stuck.
Every single time.
It's very bad.
It's all the time. It's all the time. And everyone chances it all the time. Buses, I've seen buses under there. Like the double-decker ones. And see, like, it always gets shared on Facebook, doesn't it? Because everyone's just like...
Well, the thing is, I have to go past that on my way to work. And like the amount of times I've turned up for work and gone, sorry, and like there's a truck stuck under the bridge again. And they just think like, nah, you're lying. You're absolutely lying.
That's code for something else.
It's got to that point where they don't even like report it on the news or in the papers anymore because it happens that often.
It'd be a Facebook post on like on the Sentinel or something like that.
So you've got like it's hard to prove it. But yeah, it's bad.
just go balls to the wall. They need a camera there. That would be hilarious. The footage from that would be really funny.
You could sit there like with your phone and just film it, and you're pretty much guaranteed to catch someone.
Grab yourself some tinnies in a deck chair. Sit there with your little speed gun. Oh man, people do that though. People do that. The neighborhood watch people.
I've seen the woman with the hairdryer who's going viral at the minute.
No.
She's sick of people speeding past her house, so she has like a cordless hairdryer. She just stands there with an hairdryer, and but then she films it, and you see people like proper tearing it up the road and slowing down when they see her.
Because they just.
But she's nearly caused that many crashes because people are like proper caning it and then slamming on when they see it. She's doing more damage than good.
That probably is more damage than good. They keep doing it. I remember seeing this. Just as you get into this a little town, that's a village called Sandon from my parents' house. There's like a dual carriageway, and it's a 60, but it's like bikers racing down there.
Yeah.
But because everyone knows that's what happens, they put extra signs up. But there's like a sign each side of the road, and like 2 or 3 of each sign.
Yeah. So
the entire side of the road is just so there's so many road signs, you don't take any of it in.
Yeah.
Until behind one road sign there's a speed camera, but you're not watching by that point.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy. There's just so much information. That's the same thing. And you see someone like, oh shit, on the anchors, and it's all game over. Just warms you up slightly. I don't even know how the speed cam. Is it like it must be lasers, isn't it? It's got to be. How can a handheld speed gun? How can that be accurate?
I don't know. Well, it's not. It's an hairdryer. That's the whole point.
But I see people with the actual, and how can it be? Like Gordon, the side of the road, the old bloke who I imagine does it with his clipboard and his high vis. How is he stable enough, mentally and physically, to be responsible for the law in that area? It's a bit weird. Those people are so bizarre. I always think they're psychopaths. I always think it's like the trait of a psychopath that they need to blend in, so they go too far. Yeah, and they're like, now we're like neighborhood watch, or we're scout leaders, or football coaches. That's how it's all them people, man. It always is.
Yeah, I don't get neighborhood watch. I mean, I suppose they're doing a good thing, aren't they? But they just my view. They come round. We get letters all the time. Yeah. Oh, do you want to come to a neighborhood watch meeting? Well, no, I've not been to any for the past 4 years. What makes you think of suddenly want to get involved?
But what do they talk about?
I don't know, because like nothing happens where I live as well. It's dead quiet. Like, unless they're just talking about how many trucks have been stuck under that bridge. There's nothing else to mention.
It's a long meeting.
There's literally nothing else going on.
Well, no, because you get them like
Who's had the bins nicked?
yeah, you get them in the HOAs in California. When I go over there, they have like the meetings and the homeowners association. The rules is a binder that's like encyclopedia thick. It's like it's unbelievable, and they'll come and bollock you for anything. So it's just like when they have meetings, they've got a lot to say. So like, oh well, number 2344 his lawn's a bit too long. Like I can see it blowing in the wind. It's too long. He needs to trim that. Or I can see his bin for an extra hour longer than it needed to be out on the road.
I think people need to get a grip. People need to get a grip.
But I can't imagine people in England being like that. Because people in England, whenever I've lived next to people,
if that's the sort of stuff that happens at these meetings, I can guarantee you all they're doing is discussing me. Because like,
you're the Osborns of the street.
Like our house, it's like a little cul-de-sac at the top of an hill, and it's well posher than where we should be living, to be fair. Like it's a really, really nice area. And it's all like older retired people and like
all the nice biddies.
They've all got like kids that are our age. And then there's like me and my wife who just like rocked up one day and ruined it for them all. Like our garden is an absolute state.
They love it.
Like yeah, we're definitely the one that they talk about if it's all that sort of stuff. I've not cut my lawn since I moved in 3 years ago. Like, I just can't be arsed with that. The barbecue's a washing machine on its back with a grill over it. Like they definitely not. Definitely don't fit in.
I was saying this at work as well because I live in an apartment. There's no one else that lives near me. But then like my neighbour is a shop, so like I'll hear people during hours, and then afterwards there's nothing. It's nice and quiet. But my guy at work, he lives in like a street that's a bit like yours, where everyone kind of the older people in the street all know each other and they've always lived there.
Yeah.
So they're the kind of neighbourhood watch people, and then it's intermingled with him who's like he's 40 now, but his parents used to live in the area, so he's kind of grandfathered in to knowing everybody, and he cuts the neighbours, the old woman next door, he cuts or whatever. But then the other side of him, he was saying he's got this gigantic fat family who it's like this couple, and one of them's pregnant, and they just play music dead loud all the time, like always just going off and just like the most unneighbourly stuff you can imagine.
Yeah.
I just think, I don't think I'd be down for that, for neighbourhood watch meetings. I think I wouldn't go to a meeting, I'd just retaliate.
Yeah, well, I don't get the meeting thing. I've just never got it. It's just curtain switching, isn't it? It's just basically organised gossiping, that's all it is. That's what it's like. They have no power. It's not like they can enforce laws or anything. All they do is just turn up and have a bitch and moan about Bethel at number 33.
Well, yeah, because he'll say that he goes to like the old boy across the road and or the other side of this family, and he'll be like, oh, they haven't cleaned their gutters out and it's leaking down my wall. My wall's all wet now. So he'll so my mate will have to go round to the neighbours, the nightmare neighbours, and be like, can you please just clean your gutters out so this old boy can have a dry wall in his house? Do you know what I mean? Rather than mould setting in or whatever. He has to go around like to do all that. He says this family is just gigantic, and it's like he makes it sound like the guy is a bit like Keith from The Office. Like 4X t-shirts of like superheroes, even though he's in his mid-40s. Like he says that he always wears like the kind of shorts that zip off at the knees, like
what a guy.
And like Lonsdale trainers, like the kind of like a bit mismatched and a bit weird. And he says that like his indoor voice is his outdoor voice, and he's like you could just hear through the wall, and all he does is watch like reruns of Doctor Who and like shout to his wife. So like he'll be sat in his living room like watching TV, and he'll be like, oh, the neighbours are in, so I'll turn it down a bit rather than bang all the surround sound and all that on. But then meanwhile through the wall, he says all he can hear is and then the theme tune to Doctor Who started. Ding, 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 ding. He's like, Jesus Christ, what's going on? And then he hears him shouting like random stuff to his wife, because he's so lazy, he won't move very often. So he can tell that sometimes his wife's upstairs, because he'll hear the guy shout to him like, will you bring down Predator 2 and Die Hard 3? Like some of their DVD collections upstairs, and he doesn't want to go and get it. And you can just hear, he's just like piecing together these guys' lives with these little interactions that he has, because they're just like unneighbourly, so he never sees them.
Well, I used to have this neighbour when I lived in Salford, and he's just like a proper old boy. So he wasn't. It's not like anything antisocial, but he just used to have his telly on dead loud all the time. Yeah. But it's obviously just because he was deaf. It didn't bother me. I just just turn ours off a bit. Like it's no issues. But he was dead odd, and like you could hear what he was watching, and like you could just shut your eyes and it'd be like listening to an audio book. He'd have it on that loud, and I just remember like all the time it'd get late at night, about 10, 11 o'clock, and he'd be watching like like some war film. You could tell it was like a proper horrific scene. There'd be loads of like explosions and screaming and like proper like absolutely terrifying scenes going on. And then as soon as it quieted down, you just heard him laughing. you could just tell like he was watching somewhere people being blown to pieces, and you just heard him chuckling along to it. It was proper terrifying. But like at night time as well, like if you're in bed and he had the telly on upstairs, you could just hear all this like absolute carnage, and he's there pissing himself.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, he was dead. He was properly weird.
I bet he was on the neighbourhood watch.
Yeah,
you get people like that. You get them around. They're everywhere. You don't realise how weird like people's customs and things that they do are. Just like it just gets weird. The stuff that people do, and you're just like, what was that? Like, what is happening? Like the guy, I used to live in an apartment, and it was like there was 6 apartments in a block. So there's 2 on the ground floor, 2 in the middle, 2 on the top, and I lived on like the top right.
Yeah.
The guy on the top left. So we go up the stairs, and only me and him would have our own little set of stairs to go up to the top level. But he would have all of his shoes on the outside of his apartment. Like he wouldn't let shoes on in the apartment, which meant that every guest that came around had to take their shoes off in the lobby. So I'd like get up and open the door, and there'd just be random shoes on the floor. I'd be like, what's going on? Why doesn't he just have them inside? And it was just like this weird little thing that he'd do. And then the neighbour downstairs, I assume that all he'd done his entire life was drink and smoke. Because at night when I was trying to go to bed, all I could hear was him hacking up. It was just dead weird. It was like so bizarre. It's like I've got the smell of shoes over here, got the sounds of hacking over here.
We had another neighbour that used to live below us when we lived in my first flat with a wife, and like she was dead weird. Like I would pay good money just to see the inside of her flat, because regardless of what time, like we lived in that flat for 18 months, and every single day when we get in from work, or we'd be leaving for work, or we'd be on a day off going out, whenever we was leaving, she'd always have a door open. It just used to smell like really strongly of like bleach, and God. she'd just be walking from her flat to the bins constantly, 24/7 for 18 months, just putting full black bin bags in the bins, and she'd go back to her house and she'd come out with another one, and she was just constantly doing it. Like, how much stuff must she have had in her house?
Serial killer.
Like it was bizarre.
It's just people's coping mechanisms. I had friends that do that when not so much with the black bin bags full of bodies and that, but like friends who'd be like, stressed out at work, so I clean the entire apartment with bleach, and like she got like a special. This woman I'm thinking has got a special toothbrush for doing the tiles in her bathroom. So when she's stressed out, it's a bit like machinist. She'll start cleaning.
Oh, it's weird, isn't it?
I can't think of anything worse. Like when it's going tits up for me, nothing's getting done. I'll veg it out. I
can't think of anything worse than cleaning. Like
I hate it.
I mean, I'm not like a proper tramp or anything, but I'll put it off as long as I can. When it gets to a point where I think I need to have a tidy up, and I'll begrudgingly do it. But I like these girls that I work with, and they'll come in and they'll be like, "Oh God, me new Hoover I've ordered online's turned up. I can't wait to go. It's got an attachment so I can do under my sofa without moving it." I'm like, what's the matter with you?
Yeah, just
like, they must like. How can that be something that's exciting and worth telling your friends about?
It's if you do the housework once, you've got to do it again.
Yeah, it's just never ending. Like,
I'll style it out. I'll be like, you can tell how I'm doing, like physically and emotionally, by how much washing's in the sink.
Well, I remember I had a conversation. It was when I sort of first joined this team at work, and I didn't really know the people, and it was like just getting to know, like chipping in on conversations you do when you're trying to get to know people. And they were all talking about like cleaning and how much they clean their homes, like sharing pictures and like recipes for homemade tile cleaner and so all this bollocks.
It's too much.
And then I just said, I said, you're mental. I just said, like, there's absolutely no way that I would get that much of a kick out of cleaning.
No.
And they were just like, what do you do? Your house must be hanging. I was like, well, no, I just don't spend much time in the house. I go out and have a life and do stuff.
It's clean, but it's just not showroom clean.
I don't get it. I just really don't get it.
Shah always says about it too, because her mum's an interior designer. So their cottage they grew up in, they weren't even allowed to like play in the living room. Like it had to be magazine ready at all times because photographers were coming over to take pictures of this and that. And so they just had to.
Your house, it's the way I look at my house, it's somewhere to get me head down at night, and then the rest of the time I'm out.
I say it's somewhere to hang your hat. You work like 40 hours a week. Well, I do. You work a lot more because you do 7 on 7 off. But then I'm there for an extra time anyway because I'm only working 40 hours, and you've got the breaks and you've got to get there and back and everything else. I'm training the night, trying to do all the business. Basically, I get in, cook some food and go to bed.
Yeah.
As long as it's tidy to a standard where I'm happy with it, it's fine.
Yeah.
But mine and Shah's different like opinions of clean is like a bone of contention at the minute because she loves cleaning.
See, my wife's a bit. She doesn't love cleaning. She's not that bad, but she has very different standards to me. Like I'll have a day off and I'll think, you know what, I'll tidy the house up today.
Yeah.
Just so it's nice when Sam gets in from work. Then I'll like spend like a good few hours doing what I think is a cracking job.
Yeah.
Then Sam will come in from work, take a coat off, and go, right, let's get started tidying up. Then
That's it.
Are you taking the piss? I've done it.
That's it. That's my
But
parents.
it's just her standards are just nothing like mine.
My parents come over and like, right, because it's a small apartment. I'm like, just tidy some bits away, make it look a little bit less crowded because there is shit actually everywhere. And so I'll make it look, and they'll be like, you didn't clean for us. No, I did, because you should have seen it before. It's just organised chaos. Just every surface has got something on it, a decoration or a book or a label maker or BJJ belts. There's just stuff everywhere. It's because I've got like a living room / office / laundry room / studio. Do you know what I mean? Like it's all one place. Everything I own is basically in one room or my bedroom. So it kind of just works out. And but some people just love cleaning.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's not for me.
I'll never do it, and it's just you can tell. Like Charlotte will come in and see loads of like plates piled up in the sink. She'll be like, "You're all right." It's just like, I get an intervention if there's too many plates.
You wash your plates when you run out of clean plates.
That's it.
That's my ethos. It's not done me any harm.
Unless you're the old boy at work where he's only got one plate, one fork, one knife, one glass.
That's
like
why
he's got one of everything.
You want the world to know you do not want guests in it.
He's an enigma. He is an enigma. He is the strangest man I've ever met. And I've talked about him before, but he's just the guy in the corner, and he's in his 60s now, and he's been in that business since like 35 years. Got to be. He's always worked at this one company. It's only a small family company, so he knows like everyone there has worked there for double digits in years. Like it's once you're there, you're there. It's like comfy, it's chill. You get some good work done, and he's just like he's a complete enigma. Like he's at work, the two boys that own it, there's two brothers that own the company. They always give him free stuff. They always give him like cargo trousers for work. Like they give him a few jumpers and that for work. But this guy is the most well invested guy ever. Like he's got like probably hundreds of thousands saved, like unbelievable amounts of money, and he could retire if he wanted to. But he gets up and gets on his bike every day. Bikes to the train station, gets on a train, then bikes from the train station to work. Like he's got like an extra hour and a half on his day. Then he comes to work and just works non-stop, all time, all weathers, whatever he wants. And he didn't even need to do it. He's just a weird guy. He's just a weird guy. And he just keeps, and like, he got his own little radio in the corner, so he listens to Radio 4, because there's a woman at work making us listen to Radio 2. But she always comes in late, so we try and put 6 Music on first. So we've got something alternative on. And the old boy quite likes 6 Music because it's alternative. But so when Radio 2's on, he's got his own little radio for Radio 4 or Radio 3, a bit of classic or something on in the background. And one day I went and he hadn't got his radio on. I was like, what's going on, man? You not got your radio? He's like, oh, I haven't got enough plugs. I need to plug this thing in for work and this other thing. I haven't got enough plugs to put my radio in. And so I was at home and I got this little, like, not an extension, but like you could put the extra plugs in it, like little plastic, a cube. I was like, I could take that in for him. And I was like, why would I do that? This guy is rich as fuck. Like, why am I giving this guy free stuff? Like, this guy could afford to buy houses outright. He could afford a car if he wanted, a motorbike. Like, he's got so much money, but he doesn't do anything with it. And I'm like, I'm about to give him free stuff. It's just like,
that's why he's got loads of money. That's why he keeps hold of it.
Yeah, he's got free stuff. He was saving the acetate at work. We print it onto acetate before we put it onto screens. He was saving the acetate so we could line his windows with it. It's just a complete... He's just a nightmare.
Who are these people? Where do they come from?
Or if there's freaks, the brothers at work have hired them. They've hired them. I get told about these guys that were there before me in the 20 so years that they've been there, because they inherited the business from their stepdad. Yeah. So they've worked there from young. They've worked there as part-time jobs. They worked their way up, and then when he died, they inherited the business and bought it off the mum. And so they work there now, and they own it. And there's just been freaks after freaks after freaks working there. Like the dregs of society, we all work there. Like the lads, there's like 3 chav lads that work there. The dad and 2 sons never show up for work. One thinks he's got like crazy mental health issues when he hasn't. He tried to fake a heart attack last week. Tuesday, he faked a heart attack. He's trying to fake a heart attack at work to go and try and get out of work. It's unbelievable. Meanwhile, the old boy's in the corner, could retire, doesn't, just printing. Just carries on by. It's unbelievable.
It's mad that.
There's people that just don't show up for work, who just show up late for work every day. People who are just the craziest people. Just whatever, it's unbelievable. And then we've got like a mum and a daughter who are there. The daughter's like in her 30s, the mum's in her like late 50s, 60s. And it's like they do that thing like what your workmates do. You know, where they talk about normal stuff like cleaning or whatever in this tiny workroom, and it will just kick off when they do. Because everyone else is just there like, we can't listen to this. Like, because everyone's so crazy, they can't handle normal. And they're just like, oh, so my daughter's going to a dance competition this weekend. When you're picking her up, Mum? Well, I'll tell you what, I thought I was going to come over on Saturday. And it just began like, you know, that boring, inane shit.
Yeah.
They'll go on with that. Meanwhile, everyone else is just checking out. There used to be a guy that worked there who would make crazy, what my mate calls crazy sandwich noises when it happened. So when it started, he'd be eating his sandwich, he'd go, like in the middle of it to try and shut it up with his sandwich in his mouth. Oh, that reminds me, I want to tell you, this apparently in this same break room, in the back, because it's so crowded full of shit, in the back there's a toilet. So this room is probably 10 feet by 6 feet. It's like a tiny, tiny break room. There's only like 6 of us that sit in there. But there's a toilet around the back apparently that's like attached to it.
Yeah. And
that used to be the toilet that people in the other room would use, but they don't use it anymore. And it's full of junk or whatever now. But apparently my mate and this guy that used to do the sandwich noises was in there once having a late break, and one of the girls came in from the embroidery room and just brazenly decided to take a piss in that. So they're sitting there eating, and meanwhile there's this paper thin wall, and he was trying to make it sound like she hadn't even put any toilet paper down. Nothing like that. Straight down the middle. I was crying. Dude, he's telling me this at work, and I can see the woman he's talking about, and he was just like, oh man. Done it again. It's always the filth, innit? Oh man, like I can see the woman he's talking about. And he was sitting there eating, she'd gone right down the middle with it. So this guy just got so outraged, he threw his sandwich down. He'd had enough, he just stopped up and like finished his break early. He just couldn't handle it, he could just say straight down the middle of the cannon. He's like, just threw his sandwich down and walked out, like threw his paper down, he'd had enough. I was just laughing. I could see the woman he's talking about as he's telling me it. I was just crying. I could just imagine her doing it, just brazenly. Oh man, it always gets me. It's always the filth, isn't it? It's always the filth.
Always.
It was dogging, now it's pissing straight down the middle. I was like, what kind of crazy beast is this?
Thanks for listening. That's been No Frills Podcast.
All right, thank you.
Cheers.
See you later.
Don't forget to find us on Facebook at No Frills Podcast.
See you next time.
Bye.